Shalom. And I want to start off by giving all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Wachach Chodesh. Double honors to my teachers, dead apostles, and all those of we most on. And salutations to Akim that's out there listening, pushing forward this word with truth and sincerity. And your few Akwat as well, that's listening with sincerity. I'm the brother Machaya from the camp GMS Montreal, coming back with another lesson. And the street ministry is very important, okay? Because that's one of the main ways that, wisdom would be crying forth, calling unto her people. You know what I'm saying? It's by us, being out there in the highways and hedges and preaching this gospel. That's why, at least once or twice a week, brothers go out, and hold camp, so that wisdom may take her course in the highways and hedges, and whoever is meant to get this, they're going to hear it and then come in and listen, So let's read this in Proverbs, chapter 8 and verse 1. It says, "Doth not wisdom cry, and understanding pour forth her voice? She standeth in the top of high places, and the way and the places of paths." Right? So, wisdom does indeed cry and utter her voice. All right, and the top, and the top of high places, you may say, the chief place of concourse, your downtowns, where there's much gatherings of people. Okay, by the way, and the place of the paths, right? When there's a lot of interaction going on, a populated area, you may say, right? Wisdom is gonna be crying forth, man. Right? It says, verse 3, "She crieth at the gates, at the entry of the city, at the coming in, at the doors." Yeah, because that's when you could catch a lot of people, right? You interact, you see different spirits, and then eventually, whoever is meant to listen, whoever's of the elect is gonna hear it. They might hear it at first, and then okay, it might pique their interest, but they might not, come by and ask questions, and then eventually, as they see us there, regularly being diligent, constant, doing the same thing every week, eventually they're gonna come, okay, let me see what this is about. And they ask questions, and if they're the elect, then most likely they'll come in and then start doing the same thing, put their hand to the plow. Okay, because a lot of brothers, one of the main ways brothers heard of this truth is by seeing the street preachings. When they're about, going about their day to day, and then they saw brothers holding camp, and then it piqued their interest, and they came and asked questions. Well, some of us, might have heard of it through the YouTube. Okay, but regardless, the street ministry is still important. That's one of the main ways you're gonna, get the elect. You know what I'm saying? Verse 4, it says, "Unto you, O men, I call, and my voice is to the sons of men." Right? So, yeah, this is for men. You know what I'm saying? When we're out there, we're crying out, we're calling to the men. Which, of course, have sisters that's going to come in this. But, their lot is not to, to do what we're doing, making lessons and preaching unto the nation. Their lot is just to, be there and, what I'm saying, hopefully find a man of the Lord and join themselves to him. You know what I'm saying? And, to be saved. The scriptures say some of them, of the women, are going to be saved by childbearing. And if they want to find a husband, you listen and you go, you should, try to find a righteous man. If you don't have one, you listen and you help out, by making garments or whatever, things of that nature, man, things that, a woman is supposed to do. Okay. But yeah, man, wisdom's going to be crying in the streets. Okay. Street preachings. The scriptures does say that your eyes are going to see thy teachers, not only on the internet via the YouTube, but also live and direct. Okay, it says that your teachers are not going to be moved to a corner anymore. Let's get that. Isaiah 30 and verse 20, it says, "And though the Lord give you the bread of adversity and the water of affliction," representing captivity. That's what that bread of adversity and water of affliction is talking about. Yet shall not thy teachers be removed into a corner any more, but thine eyes shall see thy teachers. You see, although we're in captivity, the Lord is saying, yet your eyes, he says, yet, your teachers are going to be moved to a corner. They're not going to withhold their wisdom. But what? You're going to see your teachers, preaching the word, being the highways. Your eyes are still going to see your teachers. Right now, man, we're at the end of the end. So the Lord is raising up his men, the prophets of old, to declare the end of this kingdom and how that is coming to save his elect. So, of course, your eyes are going to see your teachers, man. You see what I'm saying? Whether it's a sit down, whether it's a epistle, but one of the main ways our eyes are seeing our teachers is by what? Seeing the camp preachings when the brothers out there in the highways, man. Because most lessons, brothers don't really, cut on the camera and put on their face or whatnot. But, we still do that from time to time. But one of the main, if you want to see brothers, is tapping into the camp lessons. That's one of the main ways you see brothers. Because we're out and about, you might be in a public setting or, whatever. You just want to throw a quick lesson, a quick episode, and then you throw it up. But in the highways, that's when, you're a full-time prophet, for that, 2-3 hour. You're a full-on prophet. You show your face, you put your garment, and, you're not Clark Kent anymore. Now you just say full-on prophet mode, man. And people are seeing you. A cloud of witnesses are witnessing this. They're seeing, okay? So that when things happen, they're going to know that a prophet had been in the midst of them, man. You see? You know what I'm saying? Or, once again, the street preachings, man, very important. Very important, man. It says prophesying to the wind. When you prophesy into the wind, you know what I'm saying? You just out there, you speak, man. You speak in the spirit. And then, once again, whoever is meant to hear it, they're going to hear it. Because when you go to the parable, I think I looked it up earlier. Yeah, Matthew 22. Let's read it here. Matthew 22. Okay, the parable of the marriage. Okay. You know what? We're going to read the whole thing. The parable of the marriage. All right. It's going to go into how that the Lord compelled his servants to go in the highways. Let's read it, man. Let's read it, all right? This is Matthew 22 and verse 2. It said, and Yahushua answered and spake unto them again by parables and said, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a certain king which made a marriage for his sons. Okay? And sent forth his servants to call them that were bidden to the wedding, and they would not come. Right? So the kingdom of heaven is like a marriage. Right? Because eventually, when we get beamed up, that will be that ceremony. That's going to be the ceremony of the marriage, man. That's when we're going to be completely joined with Yahushua, changing those new bodies and going those ships and see Yahushua, and the crown is being set on us, man. That you would say that would be the intercourse, in a sense, because we are indeed the woman of the Lord, right? But in verse 3, it was what it's saying, when the servants that were bidden to the wedding, those that were invited, they didn't want to come, man. They didn't want to come. Again, he sent forth other servants, saying, tell them which were burdened, behold, I have prepared my dinner, my oxen and my fatlings are killed, and all things are ready. Come unto the marriage. But they made light of it and went their way, one to his farm, another to his merchandise. In other words, they made light of the Lord's business. They didn't take heed to the invite. So what happened? Verse 6, and the remnant took his servants and entreated them spitefully and slew them. But when the king heard thereof, he was wroth and sent forth his army and destroyed those murderers and burned up their cities. That's what happened. Here it is, you were called to come to the marriage. You were called into this thing of ours, and you decline the calling. Hey, this is going to be a judgment, man. The Lord's going to send forth his armies and destroy you, man. Here it is, you were called and you decided to be a false prophet, a false teacher, to lead our people astray, to entreat, like it says in verse 6, entreat. You took the remnant of the service and entreated them spitefully and slew them. Okay? Because that will happen, Some of us, or people, are going to put hands on us. Okay? Jerusalem, that kill us, the prophets. Okay? So a judgment will be brought forth. But this is the point here in verse 8. Then said he to the servants, the wedding is ready, but they which were bidden were not worthy. Go ye therefore unto the highways, and as many as ye shall find, bid to the marriage. You see? Go to the highways and hedges, man. The chief place of concourse. And call people to come to this wedding. You see? So the servants went out into the highways and gathered together all as many as they found, both bad and good. And the wedding was furnished with guests. And when the king came in to see the guests, he saw there a man which had not a wedding garment. Yeah, he didn't know man that have the proper attire. Okay, he didn't put on righteousness as a diadem. Okay, he wasn't covered with that white robe. Anyways, it says verse 12, and he said unto him, Friend, how camest thou hither not having a wedding garment? He was speechless. Yeah, here it is. You know the decorum. You know how you're supposed to present yourself, because whenever you receive an invite, to a wedding or a certain party, they will tell you the theme of the party and how to dress. Right here it is. You read that invite. Then you decided to come your own way. Hey. Verse 13, then said the king to the servants, bind him hand and foot, and take him away, and cast him to utter darkness. For there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few are chosen. That's a fact, right? Many are called, but few are chosen. Okay? Because only the few is actually going to wear the proper attire and take heed unto the message. While many, they're going to try to do their own thing and present themselves their own way, and it's not going to be pleasing unto the Lord. And the Lord is going to bind him hand and foot and take him away and cast him into utter darkness, man. Okay, but the point being was really verse 8 and 9, man. How you compel the servants to go out in the highways and hedges. Okay? The street ministries. Camp. Camp, if it's very important. You know what I'm saying? Mass majority of brothers go to camp on Saturdays. That's when you'll see mass. All brothers, holding camp, some on Fridays, some on Sundays. But regardless, I'm saying the street ministry, man. Because we're coming to the point where this word is gonna be canceled very soon. Soon you're not gonna see brothers in the highways and hedges very soon. Okay. So if you hear this, okay, you're just coming in. Find your local camp, man, and put your hand to the plow, man, and start working. Or if you don't have a local camp, then hey, hold your own camp. Of course, you eat the roll first and foremost, because that's what the Lord commanded Ezekiel, to eat the whole roll, then to go out and preach into the nation of Israel. So make sure you eat the whole roll, you get understanding. With all that getting, get understanding and wisdom. And then afterwards, you go out there, man, the Spirit's going to lead you, and then, you hold camp. If we find your local camp, you know what I'm saying? First and foremost, you got to make sure it's the proper camp, not no false camp, not no ISUPK, IUIC, Sakari. You got to make sure it's validated by the Lord. GMS, or a camp that's affiliated with GMS. All right? And then, you go, okay? And, hey, you hold precept, you follow what the leader tells you to do. All right, whether, you come in, you listen for a bit, you get vetted, I'm saying, however long that it may take, and then eventually, if you're right in the Spirit, you're going to be grafted in. You know what I'm saying? Because, everybody has to be vetted, man. It's not like these other camps. You just come in, yeah, I'm an Israelite, and then they bring you in. Nah, man, it doesn't work like that. You have to be vetted. You have to be vetted and proven by the Holy Spirit. Okay, and then, you come into the fold. Okay, but anyways, man, that was in my spirit. I'm gonna close it off there, man, by giving all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Wachach Chodesh. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. Until next time, I'm gonna say Shalom.